for joining us. Okay, let's just make sure that this sound doesn't come up here and mess up our live stream here. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Welcome to the show. This is wonderful to have you guys on here, and we're very, very grateful that you are here. You're joining us, and today we're talking about the similarities between Ndebele, Shona, and Spanish, and and also English, I guess. This is well, maybe it's not that exciting, but it is quite interesting. So let's just jump right into it, guys. Let's not waste our time. So let's do this in Spanish. So at the beginning, guys, I'm only going to be able to really talk about my progress in English, but eventually I'm going to be talking about my progress in Spanish. Don't you worry. Okay, so let me give you an example of what I mean. I'll be saying something like this: Bienvenidos, mis amigos. I mean, it's almost like this language was written by a rapper. Bienvenidos, mis amigos. It's like it's already naturally like rhyming on its own. It's beautiful, right? Bienvenidos, mis amigos. 2 points to Espanol. Okay. It's crazy. Bienvenidos, mis amigos, right? Today I'm going to tell you about these similarities, right? Similitude, right? That's I think that's a Spanish word for similarity, similitudes, right? We'll see. Or is it similidad? I think I like similidad. I think similidad is a word. Somebody should look that up. Is similidad a Spanish word? It should be, Anyway, so I'm going to show you just a very few interesting similarities here. So here we go, guys. Let's not waste our time, right? So the first thing is understanding about these languages overally. They are both phonetic. What's the word for three? They are three. They are three phonetic languages. No. Okay, so all three of them are phonetic languages, right? All three of them are phonetic languages. So what does phonetic language mean? It means that if you see a word, the way it's spelled, the way you hear it, and the way it's spelled is the same. So let's give an example here. So if you were to read that in Spanish, Ndebele or Shona, it would be sounding exactly the same. So it would be A, E, I, O, U. And you can't tell if I'm speaking Shona, if I'm speaking Spanish. Okay? That's what I mean. Like it's just a phonetic language. That means you can just read it. As long as you know how to pronounce each letter of the alphabet, the vowels are always pronounced the same. Okay, the difference is how you pronounce some of the vowels. Like in Ndebele, B is ba, and in Spanish, B is ba, and so is V. You've got ba de baca and ba de burro. Like the V is pronounced the same. In V and the B, they are pronounced the same. It's just a little bit of a difference in the emphasis. That's all. But in terms of the vowels, they are all pronounced the same. Okay, and this is a big advantage for learning how to read it as well as learning how to speak it. So there's not too many subtleties, right? And then when it comes to Spanish, if you're going to, okay, I'll explain that a little bit later about how in Spanish, even in Shona, you do have what they call acento, which is like over the top of a word here, you might have a little apostrophe or kind of like a wave that tells you how to pronounce that vowel or how much emphasis to place on the vowel. So you do that in Shona. You've got we've got words like nganga, okay, where you've got to play around with the acento, right? It's the same as well in Spanish. You've got a little bit of that. Okay, so but in English is just a strange language in this case. Okay, so like for example, the word a for a here. So am is not right? It's m, right? And at the same time, act is act, right? So that's act, which sounds like a C, right? But app, like an Apple phone or Apple, that there's an A. Apple, all right? So Apple. alert. Okay, here's a different alert and app. Okay, they both start with an A. It's not alert, right? It's alert, and yet apple is not apple. You you see, so it's a bit. It's English is not. You don't know exactly how to pronounce a word, but I'll give you a good example. What's this word here? Is this in the past tense or present tense, or is it reading, or is it to read now, or is it you read something yesterday, right? That's the thing. It's all spelled exactly the same in English, and for us who are not native speakers, we can't tell the difference between this red and red red. To us, it just all sounds the same. Okay, so English is not a phonetic language. It's not a phonetic language. It's not very friendly to that. And if you're gonna say this word here is past tense, which is read, or if it's present tense, if it's read, what's the difference between read and that? For us non-native speakers, it all sounds the same. It all sounds the same, right? Read, read, read. So not all of it sounds the same, but I mean read and read sounds the same, and then read and read sound the same to us non-native speakers. So it's very different from Spanish and Ndebele. So there's Spanish, Ndebele, and Shona. So there's one difference there. And then next, extractura, the structure of the languages, right? The structure of the languages. So let me see here what we mean. How things are described in Shona and Ndebele and Spanish is different from the way things are described in English. Let's give you an example here. Like, say for example, you say a beautiful house. This is in English. So you say a beautiful house. So people don't actually know what you're talking about until you say house at the end, right? They just know you're talking about something beautiful. In Spanish, you would be saying un casa preciosa, right? Which means a house beautiful, right? Literally in English, you would be saying a house beautiful. A casa, house, beautiful, preciosa, right? So so you can see here, you first describe the house. You first say house before you describe it. Whereas in English, you describe and then you say house. This is the same if you compare, like in Ndebele or Shona, it's imbaya kanaka or indlu enhle, right? So you first describe the house, imba, and then yakanaka, which is beautiful, right? So that's the similarity here. You can see the similarity in the structure between Ndebele and Spanish. And then we move forward, like an annoying person. Just a different example. An annoying person. So if you were to describe a person in Ndebele or Shona, you first say person and then you describe the kind of person they are. So you say umuntu omunu, and then you describe what kind of person they are. So in Spanish, the word for annoying is molesta or molesto, depending on whether it's a boy or a girl. Molesto, right? So you would say una persona. The word for person is persona. Una persona molesta. Una persona molesta. Una persona molesta, right? Umuntu opowayo, right? So that's the difference there. Umuntu opowayo. So una persona molesta. That's so you can see you're describing the person first and you're saying the person and then you're describing them. That's the same thing in Spanish as well. So there's a similarity in the structure. And then you've got this crazy omnipresence of vowels. Like here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vowels in that word there. Here, la verdad, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 vowels. Estoy hambriento, I'm hungry. La verdad, the truth. You've got all those vowels in there, right? And then kumba chingwa, right? Look at the vowels in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It's just like these languages are full of vowels. Ndebele, Shona, and Spanish, they are full of vowels. So they're very different from English. English has vowels, but you can have one vowel in a very or no vowels. That's just the way it is. And then word similarities. This one is pretty cool, guys. There's some words which are perfectly 100% Shona, not borrowed words, but they are 100% Shona or 100% Ndebele, and they are almost similar to Spanish words. I'll have to really come up with an exhaustive list after I get much better, right, at my Spanish. But I'll show you one or two here. So you see here, I'm going to tell you about the word me. Okay, mi familia. Let's go back a bit. Mi familia here. Mi familia. So the word me is my. So you're saying my family. So that mi there means my. So my family. So if you say in Luyami, you're saying a house, and then ya is off or my. No, a house that is okay. Yeah, is that is, I think that's the closest translation. In Luyami, a house that is mine. So mi here means me just as much as it means me in Spanish. It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly one-to-one correspondence there in the word mi familia in Luyami, right? Mi comida, right? Mi comida. Comida is food, right? Ukudla kwami, okay? Food that is mine, okay? My food. So ukudla kwami. So the me here and the me, they're exactly one-to-one correspondence. It's so cool, right? And then this one is an interesting one. It's like only a small difference, or small difference. The difference is an S, because this word here, kaya, means house or home, right? And then casa means home, right? Yeah, and that's the only difference here, because the KHA is pronounced ka and CA is pronounced ka. So it's kaya and casa is exactly the same. So it's pretty cool. I think it's lovely. I think it's lovely. I think it's good. And it's helping me to learn. And then here's a kicker. For me, English is a helper, but if you understand a little bit of how the English people ended up mixing up with Spanish and Latin, the people from the continent of Europe, you would know that, okay, so what's happening is English borrows words from Spanish. Okay, not necessarily Spanish, I think maybe Latin, but for our intents and purposes, Spanish is the older one. So the correct way to say this would be both Ndebele and Shona and English borrow from Spanish. But since I already know how to speak English, I'm gonna say Spanish borrows from English. It's a lie, okay? But we were going to say that Spanish borrows from English, from England or Spain and Zimbabwe, and everybody else is borrowing words from England. It's not true, right? Spanish is actually the one that provides words to English. So I'll give you examples here. Commento, or comentario, commentary, right? Like that. All right. And then yeah, so in Shona Ndebele, Arku commenta. I should have written that down. Arku commenta. Oh, yeah, comment. Right. So it's exactly, we are borrowing words from English there, right? Even though the truth is English is borrowing from Spanish, because Spanish is older in this case than English. Traffic. Okay, tráfico, tráfico, tráfico. You've got to put an emphasis on that A at the beginning there. There's an acento. So this acento the A is supposed to be underneath here, but I don't know how to do it because I can't type in Spanish, right? So it's tráfico, right? And then next, traffic, traffic. That's Ndebele and Shona, traffic. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot of words that are being borrowed there. In fact, according to my teacher, he says that almost 2,000 words in Spanish are very similar to English. Okay, so I'll give you examples: dentista, sexista, feminista, racista, diferencia, It's very, very verdad. There's a lot of words that are just basically being changed a little bit in Spanish from English, and the same way as well in Ndebele and Shona. So this is actually very good for me. It helps me to learn much quicker. So how far am I doing? I'm still, I'm still stuck on un poquito, guys. I'm still un poco español. My español es Miss Español es un poquito, almost nothing. So, but anyway, we keep it moving, and thank you very much for coming. Muchas gracias, mis amigos and mis amigos. All right. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep trying. It's all about trying, and there's nothing wrong with failing to learn a language. Actually, tell you one thing. Like when it comes to learning languages, we all learn through mistakes. So I'll do something about that.